Do you guys remember when the first Jordans came out? Sure, they were comfortable and all of that jazz, but the real hype was that everyone thought that if you had Jordans, it would help you jump higher on the basketball court. Well, unless you're like me and you have like a 6-inch vertical, but hey, we're not here to talk about that today, okay? You leave me, my tiny little Achilles heel alone, all right? All right! Despite all the hype though, these shoes didn't actually make that much of a difference. In much the same way, you can go out and buy yourself a coilover lift kit right now for your truck, but what makes it different than your basic lift kit, and more importantly, is it worth it? I'm Dustin, Dusty.co on the gram, and in today's video, we're having a quick little chat about the Jordan of the suspension world to find out, are truck coilovers actually worth it? Let's get it.
You got the problem with the wave?
Now, as we get into the steak dinner of this one, if you happen to be new to the channel, right, then welcome to Custom Offsets. Thanks for stopping by, and if you are in the process of building your truck, or you're just getting started with your very first truck build, then make sure you smash that subscribe button so you can learn more about building your truck and all the mistakes that we've made over the years. And if you're a returning viewer of the channel, back for another video, then thanks for being a part of the Custom Offsets family. You guys know the drill. Wheels, tires, suspension, lift kits, customoffsets.com. Drop a comment down below if you want to see us do a coilover conversion on the LBZ Duramax, by the way. I think a set of Fox coilovers would be dope, but hey, that's just me. You guys let us know. Also, we've got a new giveaway going on, and this shirt, it's freaking rad. I love it. You guys can check it out. There's the plug. Take it or leave it. Into the video. Now, first and foremost, what exactly is a coilover, and what the hell makes it different from a standard shock and a lift kit? When you look at the front end of a truck, you're going to find a few different components, right? Specifically here today, we're focused on the shock absorber. Typically speaking, you'll find the shock in there, you know, up at the front of the truck, because that's where they belong if it's a front shock in the front of the truck, because it wouldn't make sense if it was in the rear, but hey, just figure we call that out, right?
Right.
And then there's going to be some sort of suspension setup, be it either like a torsion bar or, you know, a coil spring system if you have like a solid axle ram or something like that. This spring or torsion bar or suspension component is what's actually supporting the weight of your truck, whereas the shock is actually functioning by slowing down the travel on the suspension components, ultimately making the truck ride smoother, because nobody wants to look like that Jeep video from like World War II where they're just ba 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 ba. You don't want that. This is important because a coilover is really just taking that strut and that spring and just mashing them together. It's a combination of a spring and a shock. They're built by taking a coil spring and putting the shock absorber through the middle of it, just right up the middle like a running plate. In order to ensure that there's still some sort of height adjustment or adjustability of the coilover, the coil spring often sits on what's called a spring perch, which is really just little more than this fancy little collar that sits on a threaded portion of the coilover body, and then you can just turn it up or turn it down, which is ultimately going to raise or lower the front end of your truck. Now, we got the science stuff out of the way, but what makes coilovers so special? By far, the biggest advantage to a coilover system is that it's going to ride a lot better than a standard lift kit on your truck will. This is because both the coil spring and the shock are actually going to be built for your specific application. On top of that, the internal passages inside the shock, otherwise known as the valving, right, is going to be much more adjustable on a coilover, which is ultimately going to allow you to really dial in that ride quality and get exactly what you want out of your suspension system. Now, additionally here, coilovers are a great option if you want to maybe replace some factory components. We actually just wrapped up an F-150 through the shop the other day that we did a small Vertex lift kit on from Rough Country. This particular truck had about 120,000 miles on it, give or take, and the factory shocks, they were tired, okay? Because of this, we recommended that the customer replace their factory shocks, and after a little bit of research and some digging, they ended up landing on a 3-inch Rough Country Vertex coilover system. Not only did this replace those old, worn out factory components, but it also gave the customer a much better ride quality, and to boot, it gave them a little bit extra height, making more room for bigger wheels and tires. Another key advantage to a coilover system is that unlike a standard leveling kit, it's not going to put any additional strain on your factory truck suspension geometry. Sure, you can get a leveling kit for a few $100, right? And it's gonna bring the front end of your truck up a couple inches. It's either a strut spacer or torsion keys or something like that. It'll work, right? However, if you're really looking to push that 2.5 to 3 inch mark, it's gonna put a lot of strain on the front of your truck. Not only is this gonna cause you to burn through ball joints and wear out wheel bearings faster than, my first crush shutting me down in 6th grade, straight up, it's just not a good time, bro. This is where coilover kits truly shine. Plus, they're gonna be set up in case you decide that you want to, send your truck off a massive jump and see how far you can push it before your front end just folds like a pretzel and pieces out for Mexico. But hey, you do you, boo-boo. I'm not your dad.
But Dad, I'm not your dad, and she's not your mom. He's right.
It's not all rainbows and unicorns though when it comes to coilover kits, and they're definitely not perfect for every situation. For starters, one of the biggest drawbacks to a coilover system is that when compared to a torsion bar system, like what I have in my Duramax and what a lot of the General Motors trucks have, it's going to be a little bit more tippy, right? You're gonna have a little bit more body roll. This is because that torsion bar system works by applying pressure to the lower control arms. So as the truck rolls, it applies more pressure, right? It's designed to keep the front end of your truck from flexing, ultimately maintaining that road contact and stability. Not a huge deal if you have a smaller lift like I do, right, with a 4.5 inch on my Duramax, but as you get bigger, it could be an area of concern, especially if you're doing a lot of towing. Additionally, and probably the largest drawback to a coilover kit is that they're going to be quite a bit more expensive, right? A standard lift kit for my truck cost me $1,800. A coilover kit is like $5,500. With that being said though, there is definitely some more value as you are getting a much higher quality product than some of the other lift kits on the market. One of the best bang for your buck coilover lift kit options is the Rough Country Vertex line of coilovers. Now, we've actually had a few builds here at the shop that have been on them, and I gotta say, for the price, I'm super impressed. They ride great, they're super adjustable, and you can get a full-on 6-inch Vertex kit for most trucks for like $2,500 all said and done. It's awesome. If you're after a smaller kit, like the one we talked about in the F-150, you get like a 3-inch lift kit for like under $2,000, which is almost unheard of to end up in coilovers for that kind of money. They ride great, they look fantastic, they've got reservoirs, and they're a good option if you want to go with something a little bit more premium without breaking the bank. Coilovers or a standard drop bracket lift kit, which one are you choosing and why? Sound off down in the comments below. And regardless, remember, if you want either coilover kit or leveling kit or a lift kit of any kind, you can find all those at customoffsets.com. With that, I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.